Good morning, everyone. This is Byron, your General Presbyter. I want to welcome you to the next in the series of the On the Western Front video series. This morning, I am here in Henderson County and worshiping with Trinity Presbyterian Church here in the city. Trinity is a wonderful congregation that has been existing in ministry for 60 years. As a matter of fact, this year is their 60th year because they started in 1965. This church is very active in its local community, very justice-oriented, and the members here do a lot for Christ here within the city. Today is also Stewardship Sunday. I preach the 8:30 service, and I'll be preaching the 11 o'clock service. So I ask you may come and see what's going on here at Trinity.
Sing praise to God who reigns above, the God of all creation, the God of power, the God of love, the God of our salvation. Today we enter our stewardship season at Trinity with the theme, Faith Endures Here. And over the next month or so, we will be exploring exactly what that means and how that is lived out.
There's a story of a mother and her little girl who was sitting in church. And as they were sitting in church, the mother gave the little girl a quarter and $1 before church and said, "Put whichever one you want into the collection plate and keep the other for yourself." When they were coming out of church, the mother asked her daughter which amount she had given. "Well," said the little girl, "I was going to give the $1, but just before the collection, the man in the pulpit said that we should be cheerful givers. I knew I'd be a lot more cheerful if I gave that quarter, so I did." Does that sound familiar for us as we begin Stewardship Sunday? I don't think I need to tell you that there's a lot going on within the world for today. Not only is there a lot going on in the world, there's a lot going on with our churches. We find out, and many of you of a certain age, you know what it was like to be a part of a church that was bristling with young people. You know what it's like to have a full Sunday school and programs that are going on. You know what it's like to not have a whole lot of money, but at least enough to do what you need to do. But you also remember the times when it seems like people were more committed to coming to church. We find now in these days, whether it's a local church, whether it's a presbytery, whether it's a synod, whether it's a general assembly, that there is a loss of things now. Not as many people belong to a faith community. Not as much money is flowing in anymore. We're finding out that churches and other councils of our denomination find out they have to cut things in order to keep on going. It's easy for us to give what we don't have, but it's hard for us to give what we already have. Because I do believe we as church members and even society, we think more about scarcity than abundance. We believe that if we give just a part of what we have, not only will our needs not be met, we feel like we don't know where that other half is going to be replaced with. But beloved, we know that if we take one step within our lives, if we give of our treasure, if we give of our time to the church, and if we give of our talent to the church, it's not that we're losing something, that we will continue to be supplied by God in all areas of our lives. Despite the things that we disagree with, or we don't like, or we don't prefer, God still calls us to give. And that's probably the hardest part of all this. Why give money to some that you don't necessarily agree with? Because you know why? I tell people, because it was not ours in the first place. The gifts that we have is in response to God's graciousness within our lives. We give not only to the church, we give because of the love of Christ who allowed us God's love first. And in our stewardship in response to what God has done within our lives. Because even past the things that we may disagree with, even past the things that we don't like, we know that God has still walked with us. And God has brought some of us out of many, many dangerous situations that otherwise we could not have done by ourselves.
I'm David Garnett, and I'm the transitional pastor here at Trinity Presbyterian Church in Hendersonville. The main thing that I think of when I think of this church, and I've been the transitional pastor all of 8 months, but I attended here before that along with my wife Molly, who's also been an elder and is now a deacon here. But this is a great mission church and has been for a long time. They had a pastor here named Al Kistling. He had a knack for connecting the church to the real needs of people in Hendersonville, and is responsible for starting a number of nonprofits which are still operating to this day. So when I think of Trinity, I think of people who are making a difference in the community and have been for a very long time. I am thrilled to be their transitional pastor, and I can't wait to see who the next pastor is going to be. I'm sure wonderful things are going to happen in Trinity's future. Thanks for the opportunity for letting me tell about this church.
Well, I hope you had the opportunity to witness the mission and ministry here of Trinity Presbyterian Church. They are doing wonderful things in their community. Of course, they've had this long history of serving those in our community. I hope that you will continue to pray for them. Pray for Reverend David Garnett, their interim pastor, as well as Dwight Christenberry, who is their associate pastor, that their ministry will continue to be fruitful as they seek God's will for their new pastor and for everything that they're doing. Thank you so much once again for joining us for this edition of On the Western Front. Until the next time, may God bless.